The arrival. Grand Arbiter Zilak stood at the observation deck of Celestial Spire, the gleaming central tower of Haven Station. Below him, the artificial world that served as the seat of the Galactic Consortium stretched in all directions, a testament to 12,000 years of interstellar cooperation. Or at least, that was the official narrative. The Valridian's 6 eyes narrowed as he studied the holographic display before him. His normally iridescent scales had dulled to a sickly gray-blue, betraying his concern. "Play it again," he commanded. His aide, a slight Navorian with translucent skin, nodded and reset the recording. The three-dimensional star chart materialized between them, showing the usual trade routes in green, member worlds pulsing in soft blue, and patrol corridors marked in yellow. Then, at the outer edge of charted space, they appeared, hundreds of red markers emerging from what should have been empty void. Within moments, hundreds became thousands, all moving in perfect formation toward the heart of Consortium territory. "When was this recorded?" Gilax asked, though he already knew the answer. 8 standard hours ago, Grand Arbiter. The objects emerged from Sector 91D. Gilax's secondary heart quickened. There is nothing in 91D, no habitable worlds, no valuable resources. Nothing. Correct, sir. Yet these ships came from there. The Grand Arbiter reached out, touching one of the red markers. The hologram zoomed in, revealing a ship design unlike any in their database. Angular, dark, with no visible markings or identification symbols that matched known species designs. Have they responded to hails? No, sir. They maintain formation and continue their approach. Their trajectory suggests Haven Station is their destination. The doors to the observation deck parted, and 5 figures entered. The Consortium Council, one representative from each founding species. They positioned themselves around the hologram, expressions grim. "Is it the Vorex Collective?" asked Counselor Thren, her feathered crest flattening against her skull in apprehension. Admiral Krell, the oldest among them, shook his horned head. "The Vorex use biomechanical ships. These are pure metal and energy constructs." "Could it be nomad clans?" suggested Counselor Mira, her luminescent tentacles twisting nervously. "Nomads travel in circular formations for mutual protection," Krell replied. "These ships are in attack formation." Silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. The Consortium had not faced a genuine threat in generations. Border skirmishes and minor rebellions, yes, but nothing of this magnitude. "We should mobilize the defense fleet," Admiral Krell said decisively. "That would be premature," Gilax countered. "We must not appear hostile. This could be a new species seeking diplomatic contact. With thousands of warships." Krell's voice rose incredulously. Before Gilax could respond, his aide's communication device chimed. "Grand Arbiter, we're receiving a transmission from the unknown fleet." "Put it through," Gilax ordered. The hologram shifted, replaced by an image that stunned everyone present. A bipedal being sat in what appeared to be a command center. The being resembled the Sarathi, but with less pronounced facial features and pinkish-tan skin instead of violet. It wore a dark uniform adorned with unfamiliar symbols. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Vessel Judgment, flagship of the Human Reclamation Fleet. We request an immediate audience with the full Galactic Consortium Council." The chamber fell silent. Gilax's aide leaned close, whispering urgently. "Sir, according to records, Earth is the homeworld of humans. The species placed under developmental quarantine 40 cycles ago." Humans. Counselor Thren's feathers bristled in surprise. That primitive, single-system species. Admiral Krell moved closer to the hologram, studying the human's face intently. They were deemed too unpredictable for membership. The quarantine was intended to contain them until they either evolved beyond their aggressive tendencies or exhausted their resources. The human commander's voice came again, sharper this time. "We know you can hear us, counselors. The time for silence has passed." The hologram widened to reveal more of the bridge. Behind Commander Reyes stood dozens of humans, all in similar uniforms, all watching with unmistakable resolve. The human reclamation fleet will reach Haven Station in 16 hours, Rice continued. Prepare to answer for your crimes against Earth and humanity. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Admiral Krell was the first to speak. Now, he said grimly, can we mobilize the defense fleet? 16 hours later, the consortium Great Chamber was filled beyond capacity. Representatives from all 734 member species had arrived within hours of the emergency call. The air hummed with nervous whispers, and the clicks, whistles, and pheromonal releases of various communication methods. Grand Arbiter Zilak stood at the central podium, his scales now pale with stress. Behind him, the main display showed the human fleet strategically positioned around Haven Station and 4 other key consortium worlds. Order, please, Zilak called, and gradually the chamber quieted. As you all know, a fleet from Earth has entered our space. Their ships now surround our most important worlds. How did quarantined humans build such a fleet? Shouted a representative from the back. Admiral Krell stepped forward. They were never truly primitive. We underestimated them. The main doors to the chamber slid open. A group of 7 humans entered, led by Commander Elena Reyes. Unlike the colorful, ornate attire worn by consortium representatives, they wore simple, dark uniforms with minimal decoration. They carried no visible weapons, yet every alien presence sensed the implicit threat. The humans walked with measured steps to the center of the chamber. Commander Reyes stopped before the central podium and looked up at Zilak, deliberately omitting the customary bow, a clear violation of consortium protocol. Grand Arbiter, Reyes said, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. The human reclamation fleet has come to deliver Earth's response to your quarantine order of 40 years ago. Zilak attempted to maintain his composure. Commander Reyes, this is highly irregular. If Earth wished to appeal the quarantine, there are proper diplomatic channels. We are not here to appeal, Reyes interrupted. We are here to end the consortium's authority over our species and others like us. Gasps echoed through the chamber. That is treasonous talk, Counselor Thren said, her translator rendering her avian clicks into standard speech. Reyes smiled, though the expression contained no warmth. Treason requires loyalty first, Counselor. Earth owes no loyalty to the consortium that sentenced us to extinction. Extinction. Zilak's scales pulsed with alarm. The quarantine was merely intended to contain potentially destabilizing behaviors while your species matured. That was the public justification, Reyes replied coldly. But we know the truth about Project Prism. The chamber erupted in confused conversation. Many representatives looked genuinely surprised, while others conspicuously avoided eye contact. Admiral Krell stepped forward. What is Project Prism, Grand Arbiter? Before Zilak could answer, Commander Reyes activated a small projector. Holographic images appeared, showing Earth's major cities. In each image, humans went about their daily lives, but the air around them sparkled with microscopic lights. These are the Prism nanites, Reyes explained. Designed to systematically alter our genetics, rendering us sterile within 3 generations. A quiet genocide that would appear natural to any observer. She turned off the projector and faced the council. Fortunately for humanity, we excel at survival. Our scientists detected the nanites within months of your departure. We contained them, studied them, and learned from them. Reyes touched a device on her wrist. The massive screen behind Zilak changed to show a consortium monitoring station orbiting a nearby moon. As they watched, a single human vessel approached the station. It fired a tiny, barely visible projectile. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then, like sand dissolving in water, the entire station began to disappear. The council chamber watched in horrified silence as the massive structure simply vanished, leaving no debris. Our adaptation of your prism technology, Reyes explained calmly. We could have deployed it against your populated worlds. We could have eliminated your species as you planned to eliminate ours. Instead, we chose restraint, a quality your consortium believed humans lacked. Admiral Krell approached Reyes. What do you want from us? Justice, Reyes replied. The complete dissolution of the current Galactic Consortium leadership, full disclosure of all species targeted by Project Prism, and the trial of those responsible. This is outrageous, Councillor Thrin exclaimed. We will not be dictated to by a single species. Commander Reyes looked at Thrin, then back at the screen where another human vessel was moving into position near a different station. You misunderstand, Councillor, Reyes said quietly. This is not a negotiation. The revolution. For the first time in its 12,000-year history, the Galactic Consortium convened an emergency vote. The question was simple: surrender to human demands or risk a war they might not survive. The vote dissolved into chaos. No clear decision emerged as representatives argued, threatened, and in some cases physically confronted one another. Some demanded immediate military action against the humans, others pleaded for surrender, and many simply fled the chamber to contact their homeworlds. Amid this confusion, Councillor Mira, her bioluminescent tentacles dimmed to a soft blue, quietly approached Commander Reyes. Commander, she said softly, not all of us knew about Project Prism. Many would have opposed such an action had we been informed. Reyes studied the Aquilian's face. Unlike most consortium officials, Mira's compound eyes met her gaze directly. I believe you, Reyes finally said, but belief doesn't change what happened. No, it doesn't, Mira agreed. But perhaps we can change what happens next. Will you speak with me privately? One final attempt at a peaceful resolution. Reyes considered for a moment, then nodded. 1 hour, your office. Bring no more than 2 others. Mira's tentacles brightened slightly in relief. Thank you, Commander. 1 hour later, Reyes arrived at Mira's office with 2 human officers. Her second-in-command, Captain James Chen, and Dr. Sophia Okafor, Earth's foremost xenobiologist. The office was surprisingly austere by consortium standards. No ornate decorations or rare artifacts, just practical furniture and simple walls. Mira waited with Admiral Krell and a small 6-limbed being with mottled green skin that Reyes didn't recognize. This is Vix, Mira introduced the small alien. He was a junior science officer when the Earth quarantine was ordered. He has information you should hear. Vix stepped forward nervously. Project Prism wasn't just a single operation. It is, an ongoing program with a 3,000-year history. He placed a data crystal on the table. It projected images of laboratory reports, secret meetings, and genetic sequences. Earth wasn't the first, he continued, his voice quavering. There were 37 other species before you, all deemed too unpredictable or evolutionarily aggressive for the consortium. Dr. Okafor leaned forward. What happened to these species? Extinction, Vix whispered. Complete extinction. Earth is the only planet that detected the nanites and survived. The room fell silent. Captain Chen's hand moved to his sidearm, but Reyes gestured for him to remain calm. Why? Reyes asked simply. Why target these species? Why target us? Admiral Krell answered, his voice heavy with shame. Fear. The consortium's founding species have maintained power for 12,000 years. They fear any species that might eventually challenge them. Dr. Okafor nodded slowly. And humans, with our adaptability, and yes, our capacity for conflict, frightened them enough to warrant elimination. But now you return stronger than before, Mira said, which some would argue justifies their fears. We returned stronger because you tried to kill us, Reyes said firmly. We adapted out of necessity. Before your nanites, Earth was focused on peaceful expansion and knowledge. We wanted to join the galactic community, not conquer it. Mira's tentacles swayed thoughtfully. And now, what does Earth want now, Commander? Justice, Reyes replied. and a guarantee that no other species will suffer as we nearly did. Dr. Okafor removed a document from her case. This is our proposal, a complete restructuring of galactic governance. No more secret councils making unilateral decisions about which species deserve to exist. Admiral Krell took the document and scanned it quickly. This would end 12,000 years of consortium tradition. Your tradition, Captain Chen countered, is our nightmare. 12 millennia of the powerful deciding which of the weak deserve to live. Vix touched the data crystal, still projecting images. There's more, he said quietly. Project Prism wasn't just about eliminating potential threats. It was about harvesting their innovations first. Nearly every technological advancement the consortium has claimed in the past 1,000 years came from species they later destroyed. Mira's skin paled. Is this true, Krell? The Admiral's silence was confirmation enough. You have 24 hours, Dr. Okafor said, standing. 24 hours for the consortium to accept our terms. After that, we will enforce them. As they turned to leave, Mira called out, "And if we refuse?" Commander Reyes paused at the door. "Then we'll do what humans do best. Survive, even if it means you don't." News spread rapidly across consortium space. Within hours, everyone knew about the human accusations. Some dismissed them as lies. Others demanded answers from their representatives. The carefully maintained unity of the Galactic Consortium began to fracture. On her flagship Judgment, Commander Reyes watched reports flood in from across the galaxy. The Consortium military is mobilizing, Captain Chen reported. Ships are gathering at these 8 locations. The tactical display highlighted star systems near important Consortium worlds. Dr. Okafor joined them, her expression tired but determined. The civilian response is exactly as we predicted. 42 species have already declared neutrality. 15 have openly sided with us. And the others? Confused, scared, waiting to see what happens next. Dr. Okafor handed Reyes a data tablet. We need to give them something more concrete than accusations. We need proof they can't ignore. Reyes studied the information. The research facility at Helios Station. That's where Project Prism was developed. Dr. Okafor nodded. According to Vix's information, yes. All the records should be there, including the list of all targeted species. Reyes turned to Captain Chen. Prepare a strike team. We move in 5 hours. Helios Station orbited a red dwarf star in an isolated system. Its official purpose was xenobiological research, but few ships ever visited. The station's defenses were minimal, testimony to how confident the consortium had been in their secrecy. 3 human ships dropped out of FTL near the station. The largest, a cruiser named Defiance, positioned itself directly above the facility, while 2 smaller vessels flanked it. Inside the lead ship, Commander Reyes addressed the strike team, 20 men and women in lightweight tactical gear. Our goal is information, not destruction, she emphasized. We need the research files intact. Minimal casualties. The scientists there may not know what they're really working on. The team acknowledged their orders. Captain Chen would lead the ground team while Reyes coordinated from the ship. Chen checked his non-lethal stun weapon. We're ready, Commander. The strike team boarded their shuttle and launched toward Helios Station. On Haven Station, the Consortium Council remained deadlocked. Grand Arbiter Zolax desperately tried to maintain order as representatives shouted accusations at one another. The humans are lying, insisted Counselor Thren. We would never commit genocide. Then why haven't you specifically denied these Project Prism allegations? Challenged a representative from the Morvian Collective, normally a quiet, compliant species. Show us proof that this program doesn't exist. Before Thren could answer, her aide rushed to her side and whispered urgently in her ear. The counselor's feathers stood on end in alarm. What is it? Demanded Jalax. Helios Station, Thren replied, her voice shaking. It's under attack by human forces. The chamber erupted into fresh chaos. In the confusion, Counselor Mira slipped away to her private office. She had made her decision. Opening a secure channel, She contacted Commander Reyes' ship. "The Council is fracturing," she reported. "Many species now question everything they've been told, but we need the evidence from Helios to completely break their unity." "We're retrieving it now," Reyes' voice replied. Captain Chen led his team through the sterile corridors of Helios Station. They had encountered almost no resistance. Most of the staff had surrendered immediately, shocked by the sudden appearance of humans, a species many thought was safely contained on a distant, quarantined world. The central research lab was secured with heavy doors and advanced locks. Chen placed a small device against the control panel. Within seconds, the doors slid open. Inside, they found what they were looking for, and more. The lab contained not just records of Project Prism, but biological samples from the extinct species, preserved specimens, genetic material, cultural artifacts. "They kept trophies," whispered one team member in horror. Chen's face hardened as he ordered, "Download everything, every file, every image, every record." As the team worked, Chen opened a communication channel to the Judgment. "Commander, you need to see this. It's worse than we thought. They didn't just kill those species, they studied them like lab animals first." Reyes' voice was tight with controlled anger. "Get everything, Captain. The galaxy needs to know the truth." Within an hour, the human ships departed from Helios Station, leaving the facility intact but empty of staff. The truth they carried would change the galaxy forever. The evidence from Helios Station spread across every communication channel in the galaxy. Billions of beings watched in horror as the truth was revealed. Recordings of consortium leaders calmly discussing which species to eliminate, detailed plans for nanite deployment, and the disturbing collection of specimens from extinct civilizations. The reaction was immediate and explosive. On 53 consortium worlds, citizens took to the streets. Government buildings burned. Consortium representatives fled or were captured by their own people. On the Valridian homeworld, Supreme Commander Xantos watched the chaos with cold fury. Unlike many consortium leaders, he could not run. Instead, he had gathered every loyal military ship he could find. "The humans have destroyed in days what took us millennia to build," he told his assembled officers. "They must pay for this." "Sir," objected one of his captains, "many worlds are siding with the humans. This is no longer just about Earth." "It was never just about Earth," Xantos replied. "It's about order versus chaos. The species we removed were threats to galactic stability. The consortium maintained peace for 12,000 years. What do humans offer in its place? Anarchy." He activated a holographic display showing a massive fleet gathering at a hidden base. "We have 500 ships ready. The humans have spread their forces thin, trying to control too many systems at once. We will strike directly at their command ship, the Judgment." On the Judgment, Commander Reyes received the warning too late. Long-range sensors detected Xantos' fleet emerging from FTL just outside the Haven system. "Battle stations," Reyes ordered. "All ships, defensive formation Delta." The human fleet responded quickly, ships moving into position around Haven Station. But they were outnumbered nearly 2-1. As the first salvos were exchanged, an unexpected message came through. It was from Counselor Mira. "Commander Reyes, listen carefully. I've convinced representatives from 67 species to formally dissolve the Consortium Council. We're broadcasting the dissolution order now, along with formal recognition of Earth's sovereignty and an alliance proposal." Reyes watched in astonishment as nearly half of Xantos' fleet suddenly powered down their weapons. "What's happening?" she demanded. "The dissolution order renders any attack by consortium forces illegal under galactic law," Mira explained. "Many captains refuse to follow Xantos' orders now, but he still commands loyal Valridian ships, and they have a weapon we've never seen before." On the tactical display, Reyes saw Xantos' flagship moving into position near Haven's sun. A massive energy signature began building. "He's going to destroy the star," Captain Chen said in disbelief, "with all of us along with it." Reyes made her decision instantly. All human ships target these coordinates. Fire prism countermeasures on my mark. The human fleet launched their adapted nanite weapons, not at Santos's ships, but at the space between them and the star. The microscopic machines spread in an invisible cloud. When Santos fired his star-killer weapon, the energy beam hit the nanite field and scattered, harmlessly dispersing into space. Before he could try again, the remaining loyal ships found themselves surrounded by both human vessels and former consortium allies. Commander Santos was captured without further bloodshed. 3 months later, Commander Elena Reyes stood in the new Galactic Assembly chamber, watching representatives from over 800 species take their seats. The former consortium hierarchy had been dismantled, replaced by a system where each species had equal representation, regardless of technological advancement or military power. Councillor Mira, now serving as the first elected facilitator of the assembly, joined her. "It will be chaotic for a while," Mira admitted. "Many species have never had a voice before." Reyes nodded. "Democracy usually is chaotic, but it's better than the alternative." "And Earth, will you join us officially now?" Reyes watched as the human delegation took their seats among the others. "We will, not as conquerors or victims, but as equals." "And Project Prism, what happens to that research?" "The technology has been secured and will be studied openly by scientists from all member species. Never again will one group hold the power of extinction over others." As the first session of the new Galactic Assembly began, Reyes reflected on humanity's journey. They had come to space seeking vengeance for an attempted genocide, but instead found the opportunity to build something better. Perhaps, she thought, that was humanity's greatest strength after all. Not our ability to survive against all odds, capacity to forge a better future from the ashes of injustice.